The movie begins with a man and his stepmother becoming prime suspects in the unexpected death of the father due to their forbidden affair. After receiving a sudden phone call from his estranged father, Holden decides to visit him, viewing it as an opportunity since he has nowhere else to go after traveling through Europe. Upon arriving at the mansion, Holden warmly embraces his childhood housekeeper, Madeline. He inquires about Mason's whereabouts, and Madeline informs him that Mason is upstairs. Holden goes to Mason's room, but when he attempts to call his father without success, he notices running water from the bathroom. Checking inside, Holden is surprised to find a woman there instead of Mason. Leaving promptly, Holden encounters Mason, who greets him warmly and apologizes for missing his graduation, explaining that he was pressured by the union to work harder. Mason excitedly knocks on the bathroom door, introducing the woman as Lana, his wife. Holden is curious about the length of their relationship, but Mason clarifies they are married. Later, in the living room, Holden questions why Mason did not inform him about this significant change sooner. Mason responds that he wanted to surprise Holden and see his reaction. Concerned by Holden's silence, Mason is relieved when Holden admits his surprise. That night at Mason's fundraising event, Mason introduces Holden to his lawyer, Harry Dupree. Mason proudly mentions Holden's Harvard education while dismissing Harry's Yale background. Harry dismisses the comment and reminds Mason of their responsibilities. Mason instructs Lana to show Holden around, which she happily does. Lana compliments Holden, asking about his past relationships. Holden shyly recounts his breakup with Stacy and apologizes for his earlier intrusion. Lana insists their secret will remain between them. During the auction, Lana expresses interest in an antique necklace and approaches Harry to discuss it, which makes Mason jealous. Lana later returns to Holden with Nicole, hoping they will make a perfect match. After the auction, Lana thanks Mason for the necklace, but he confronts her about being close with Harry. Although Lana denies any flirtation, Mason's anger escalates, leading him to hurt Lana in front of Holden. Holden voices his discomfort, and Lana insists there's nothing inappropriate between them, causing Mason to relent. The next day, Lana takes Holden to her favorite bar, but it is closed. She retrieves the keys, revealing that the bar's owner is a friend. While spending time together, Lana encourages Holden to drink, leading to a moment of tension between them. Noticing the bar's caretaker, Lana instructs Holden to clean up and hide under the bar counter. Once the caretaker leaves, Holden and Lana lock eyes, and despite recognizing the wrongness of their actions, they succumb to their forbidden affair. Back at the mansion, Mason observes as Lana and Holden arrive. The next morning, Holden notices a bruise on Lana's wrist during breakfast. Mason, in a good mood, informs Holden that he invited Nicole for dinner, hoping they would be a good match. Mason and Holden later play basketball, where Mason repeatedly wins, frustrating Holden. Determined to win, Holden steals the ball, prompting Mason to punch him. That evening, Lana approaches Holden in the kitchen, where he confronts her about the bruise. She dismisses it, sparking Holden's resentment towards his father for repeating toxic behaviors with Lana. Lana apologizes for their affair, but Holden insists it was consensual and doesn't want to forget about it. The next morning, with Mason away, Lana and Holden continue their affair. During their time together, Lana shares her traumatic past with Holden, revealing that her father abused her and that she orchestrated his death. Lana confessed to packing a bottle of whiskey in his lunchbox, leading to his fatal accident. Later that night, the Price family entertains Nicole, who reveals her career aspirations. Mason questions Holden about his future plans, but Holden's desire to study architecture is dismissed by Mason, who suggests Holden should join him in managing the company. Embarrassed, Holden talks to Lana about leaving Chicago, feeling that Mason's job offer is a means of control. Lana, anxious about being left behind, asks Holden about her future. Mason takes Holden hunting, during which he questions Holden about Lana's activities while he's away. Holden pretends ignorance, and during the hunt, Holden contemplates shooting his father but ultimately hesitates. After Mason's workout, Holden volunteers to make his protein shake and learns that Mason suspects Lana of cheating. Holden summons Lana to a motel to end their affair, but she wants to continue discreetly. Holden tries to leave, but Lana persuades him to stay. That night, Holden discovers a death note in the motel, making it appear as if he confessed to killing his father and plans to commit suicide. When Lana arrives, she searches for the supposed intruder, and a confrontation ensues, leading Holden to take her gun. Holden confronts Lana about the death note, but she denies creating it, claiming she is scared. Despite her explanation, Holden remains doubtful. Lana professes her love, but Holden apologizes and then rushes to Harry's house to show him the note. At the police station, Holden recounts the true events of his father's death. Detective Sykes is skeptical, especially since Lana is missing. Lieutenant Mormino reveals that Nicole is also missing, leading to Holden's arrest. Lana's flight to Venezuela adds suspicion to the case. Nicole later provides testimony revealing that she and Lana were lovers and that they planned to blackmail Holden. Nicole also discloses that Lana showed up at her apartment covered in Mason's blood. She denies knowing the weapon's location but expresses fear that Lana plans to kill Holden and make it appear as self-harm. Holden and Harry return to their residence, where Harry presents a toxicology report showing Mason was poisoned before being stabbed. Holden discovers the bloody weapon in the fireplace vent and encounters Nicole, who reveals her true identity as Stacy. Stacy reveals that Holden poisoned Mason and that she stabbed him before hiding the weapon. Stacy explains her actions and how she easily fooled people into believing she was Lana. Holden learns that Stacy disposed of Lana's body by pushing it off a cliff. Despite Stacy's reassurances, Holden checks the cliff to confirm Lana's body is gone. Returning home, Holden contacts Lieutenant Mormino to report the recovered weapon. As Holden prepares to leave, the lights go out, and Lana appears, shooting him in the shoulder. Lana confronts Holden about his betrayal, and Holden admits he killed his father for the wealth. Lana, deeply hurt, regrets her feelings for Holden. Holden, indifferent, reveals he used her as a pawn. Lana attempts to kill Holden, but he escapes to the garden and confronts her at the cliff. A gunshot is heard, and Lana falls to her death. Lieutenant Mormino arrives to assist Holden,